Hey there ladies and gentlemen, Reload here, and I'm continuing on with Factional Warfare tutorial for EVE Online. For the benefits of the newer players, I wanted to take a look at how one can set up their overview. Not to say that this is the only way to set up the overview, but just to show the process of how one can do it. Basically, I'm starting off with the default overview right now with just a few extra things that I've added here for my own benefit, but I'll show you how and why I added those columns. So to begin with, you can actually adjust your overview by clicking on these little three lines and going to the Open Overview settings. Now you can set up your overview tabs, the tab presets, appearance, and everything else. I'm not going to go into exact detail of modifying everything in here, but just a few extra things that will make Factional Warfare in particular a little bit more easy to navigate. So actually the first things I'm going to show you are the columns. I believe the default overview comes with the velocity already enabled, but I also enabled the angular velocity column. At this point, I'm not going to go into exact detail as to what's the difference between the transversal, radial, and angular velocities, but suffice it to say, if you fly in a turret-based ship like I am right now, I have 3 autocannons installed, the angular velocity tells you a very important metric, particularly how your turrets can track the opposing ship. Now let me pull up the information for the turrets, just to show you what I mean by the angular velocity being very important. When you go into the information, you can see that each turret has the tracking speed or accuracy in the attribute specs. Right now, the turrets that I have fitted have the tracking speed and accuracy of 0.4163 radians per second. So you can compare this number to the angular velocity column right here, meaning if my angular velocity against my target is higher than 0.4163, my turrets will not be able to track the target as well. This is one of the main reasons why actually a small little frigate can take down a battleship rat without any problems. Now let me find a target that I can orbit against, just to show you what I mean by this angular velocity. And there's a stationary ship right there near the undock, I believe. Or actually, hold on, there's an Akator here that I can start orbiting. If I can actually start orbiting before the ship warps off. So here we go. As I'm entering the orbit, my angular velocity is increasing, sometimes above what my turrets can track, meaning that I won't be able to hit the target fast enough. So personally, this is one stat that I would like to have in my overview, just to see how well I can hit the opposing player. You can also use this stat to your advantage as well. If you know that the other ship does not have very good turrets, you can increase your angular velocity against the target to the one that's above the tracking level of your target. And that way your target will not be able to hit you, or at least will not be able to hit you well enough. Some people actually prefer to have transversal instead of the angular velocity, considering that transversal velocity is actually displayed in meters per second as opposed to radians per second, which is meters per second are a little easier to understand. But for me, looking at radians per second, I can quickly compare it to the information in my turrets, just so that I know the number that I should stay below. For that reason, I don't really worry about transversal velocity. And of course, the velocity itself of the opposing ship is also very important, especially if you're using a missile or a rocket-based ship. For example, the rift that I have right here actually does have rockets fitted. And what's important about rockets and missiles is the explosion velocity. So let me show what I mean by that. This time around, I have to go into the information for the charge itself. So I have fitted the Mjolnir rockets. And what I should look at is the explosion velocity of this particular rocket, which is right now 180 meters per second. So what you have to know with this particular stat is that once your target goes above the explosion velocity of your missile or rocket, the damage decreases a little bit. For example, I will be able to hit the Tyra for 100% damage right now, because Tyra is moving only at 61 meters per second. But if I'm trying to target the Venture, which is moving very fast at 761, my rockets will not be outputting too much damage. There still will be some damage done, but not 100% of course. Just keep in mind that the explosion velocity is not the only stat that affects missiles or rockets. Also the explosion radius, which is related to the signature radius of the ship, that plays a role too. But once again, this is beyond the scope of this video. I'll probably make another video explaining everything you need to know about PvP later on. But now let's talk actually about the tabs involved as well. Right now this is the default tab. I didn't change much with regards to what kind of information is getting displayed here in terms of stations or celestials or ships. But one tab that I like to have is the hostiles tab. And here I add pretty much every single ship that I can think of. It doesn't matter whether it's friendly or not, I still like it to be displayed. Because at any point in time in Factional Warfare, a neutral ship can become very hostile. So once I have the hostiles tab selected, actually I can go into tab presets, I believe, yes, and select every single ship that I would like. For example, yep, right here, all the 44 ships are selected. And this particular tab will not display any other useless information to me. For example, if I want to look only at the ships involved. Not the station around here and not anything else that I can warp to. One thing that I really like to keep in my hostiles tab actually, and I've shown you this in my previous videos, is the information for the scanner probes. This can be displayed in a chart here. I like to display the scanner probe because in wormholes or low-sec null-sec you really have to use directional scanner, and when I'm sitting on my safe spots I really want to see if somebody's trying to scan me down. So my directional scanner is always set to hostiles, as you can see right here, and then when I scan the system, it'll be able to tell me whether there's any scanner probes in the system, or at least within the range of my directional scanner. And it doesn't matter whether these are combat probes or just scanner probes. This particular chart will display both. Of course I'm most interested in the combat probes because they will be able to scan you down in the safe spot within the system. Also for the hostiles tab, I like to display the NPC setup as well. Particularly for Factional Warfare, so that I know when faction Navy NPCs are on grid and if I have to target them. Also it's useful because sometimes I'm running some missions here and there to display the mission specific ships. For example, actually I should have more of these selected. And with this, now I think I pretty much have the overview set up the way I like it to be. I really don't care about the mining tab. I'm not gonna mine when I am in Factional Warfare, so I can delete this. But the other tab that you could add and you could find useful is a drones tab. So you can go ahead and add a new tab, name it drones. And in here we're going to deselect everything. So now 0, and let's find the drones here. Just because sometimes when you're in a fight there can be many drones on grid. And I wouldn't want them to be seen in the hostiles tab because they'll be getting really crowded. So this is just the way I like to set up my overview when I'm playing Factional Warfare. By no means is this the only way. There's plenty of different ways and there's plenty of different overviews that you can actually download and use for yourself. But if you want to customize it yourself and you're just starting the game, this, I think in my opinion, will work well. For my own preferences, this overview is not too crowded and it displays only the information that I think I need displayed. Just to summarize the thing, the main idea behind the overview. Oops, somebody's trying to battle me here in a duel, but no thank you. The main idea behind the overview is for you to be able to see the velocity and the angular velocity of the ships that you are targeting. The angular velocity is very important for your turret tracking, and the velocity is important for your missiles or rockets. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this information helps you out. As usual, please leave a comment on this video if you have any questions about overview setup for Factional Warfare. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe for more EVE Online and other gameplay videos. Have fun out there flying for your faction.